Hello everybody, this is Bodhi and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Here I am on the survival server that I showed off in the last episode, and I'm actually standing right in front of a villager that I was able to cure that I found down in a stronghold. And that's pretty lucky because I do not have any sort of villager breeder or anything like that going on at the moment. So this was a really lucky find, and I was able to cure it up, and we have turned him into a stone cutter, or a stone mason, I should say. And that was really useful because I was able to trade up some of my stone and my granite and clay to get a ton of emeralds. And that is going to come in handy later because this guy actually has a trade for quartz and some white terracotta, and those are just really useful building sources, or building resources I should say, and we should be able to make some good use of that in the future. But that is not the topic of today's episode. I actually have a few farms planned to work on to get us going for some resources for the next big project I have planned. So let's go ahead and head on over to the industrial district and get started on some of those. Alright, so I am here in the industrial district, just starting off on clearing out an area to build this farm at. It's not a particularly big farm, but it will be nice to just have a flat space to build this in. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep terraforming this a little bit, and I will be right back. Hello guys, so I finished taking out this area, and while I was doing so, I was thinking about it, and the design that I was going to use was for a nether wart farm. And up until searching a few tutorials up last night, I did not even know that there was a way to completely automate nether wart farming. So I found a design by DocM77 that I was planning on building in this area here. However, when I looked into the rates of it, it turns out it would not produce nearly enough unless you were to build quite a large scale version of it. And at this point, I just don't have the resources to make that much redstone components. So I think I am instead going to be making just sort of a semi-automatic one, nothing too fancy, but that sort of just uses water streams to clear out the nether warts, and that should be good enough for now. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on that design. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and building up a couple layers of this farm. I think in total it's gonna have 3, one after this, or maybe a fourth one even. And that should be enough to produce a good amount of nether warts every time it gets harvested. And if I was watching this video, I would probably be wondering what the purpose of a large-scale nether wart farm is. Because, I mean, nether wart certainly has its uses, but it's not something that you usually need in industrial quantities. So the plan here is actually to be doing some building in the future with nether or red nether brick as a block in the palette. And that is crafted by both using nether bricks themselves and also nether wart. And the crafting recipe calls for 2 nether warts and 2 nether bricks just to craft 1. So if I'm going to be doing a whole project with that as a block in the building palette, I'm going to need a pretty decent quantity of nether warts. So I thought I'd build up at least a starter farm for now, and maybe work on a more industrial farm in the future, but I think this will produce a sufficient amount to do some, or to get a decent amount of red nether bricks to start off with. So I'll catch you guys when I start to work on the redstone mechanism. So guys, what you're seeing right now is the pretty simple redstone mechanism that is going to be used to automatically harvest the nether wart. Now unfortunately it's still only a semi-automatic farm. I will have to go back and plant them, but besides that, everything else is done on its own. Unfortunately I can't show off this yet because they're not all grown, But I can explain just basically what's going on here. When I press this button, the redstone output is put into a pulse extender, which makes the redstone turned on. When it was turned on, it makes it last longer. And so for the entire time that it is turned on, these repeaters will be powered. And then the powered repeaters will give an input into the observers so that the dispensers can shoot out water buckets. And then once the pulse extender turns off after a few seconds, the repeaters will turn off, giving another signal to the observers, making the dispensers retract the water. And by that point, all of the nether wart will have ended up on the end here in this water stream, and we can go ahead and collect it in the chest. Now, it doesn't take any longer, or a great time longer than other plants for the nether warts to grow up, so I can go ahead and be right back when all of the nether warts are grown. Okay, so it looks like the majority of these nether warts are pretty much done growing, so just to see how this all works out, I'm going to run it now. I'm pretty sure there might be a few not fully grown ones here or there, but for the most part this should give us the maximum results. Alright, so here it is. So the pulse extender goes off, and then all of the nether warts should have time to get pushed down to the end, and it looks like it went perfectly. So just as those filter in, I mean, that might take a second, but we should have the results in. Okay, so the last few are coming in here, I believe, and that is actually a pretty good amount from one harvest. I think I started off with like around 2 stacks being placed down. Oh, never mind. We actually have quite a good deal more right in this hopper here. So that is perfect because that about doubled the amount we started off with, plus a little extra. So I think I'm going to replant the nether warts, and then we can go ahead and move on to something else. So looking in on the completed farm, it is definitely a decent starter design, but upon further research, I actually realized a fact that I did not even know, that you can actually harvest more nether warts with a fortune pickaxe. I did not expect that, since it usually just applies to ores, so I might have to look into a different design in the future that utilizes that and to yield more nether warts during harvest. But for now, I think this should be enough. After replanting them, I have enough to make like one almost 2 stacks of red nether bricks. But if I harvest this a couple more times, I will definitely have enough for the time being. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Hey guys, so here I am outside of the Hilltop Fortress that I showed off in the last episode. And we have actually done a decent amount of work off camera since we left off at the Netherwart farm. And part of the reason for this is that the server has actually just been a lot more active because, I mean, as everyone knows by now, not a lot of us have much to do outside of staying home. So there has been a considerable amount of players on the server, and I actually had to look into upgrading it so that it could support a couple more players. And so now everything's running more smoothly, and I have done a little bit of work that unfortunately I was not able to record, but I want to show off to you guys right now. And the first thing is this little area right outside the village, or the fortress. And this all started off with just one of my friends coming through here, building up a sort of fountain looking really nice. And then I decided that I wanted to just blend it in with the entire area going on here. So we extended the path out. I did some terraforming, adding like the stones and the grass all around here. Bone mealed it a lot. Added some trees, tried to make them look a little bit like custom trees, but they're not exactly. Just added some logs here at the bottom. And also, of course, this campsite over here. We got like a campfire, a little cart design that I had seen online and I really wanted to implement, and a horse right over here, and I guess some wheat for him to be chewing on. And so I think overall this area is coming together really nicely, and eventually we can extend the path even further over there and completely work on getting the paths extended out of the 3 entrances of this place and hopefully connect it up to that village over there, my first build in this area. So that is not the only thing I have done though, because I actually have a little something to show you guys concerning the Netherwart farm that we left off with. So if we go ahead and head on over to the industrial district, we have gathered up quite a large quantity of the Netherwarts, and the reason for this is that it is an insane difference between harvesting the warts with the fortune pickaxe as it is to just flowing the water down. Let me say I am never going to be harvesting it without this pickaxe again, because I only cycled through this farm maybe like 4 or 5 times and we were able to fill a double chest, and to me that seems pretty good. So I was thinking about building up one of these farms without the whole water flushing system, just a manual farm. Take care of that creeper before he causes any trouble. Alright, nice. And what I was saying is I was thinking about building just a completely manual Netherwart farm, which this has turned into, unfortunately, in the spawn chunk so that it is always running and we can just go harvest it as needed. It would basically be doing the same thing as this one now, but it would be able to be harvested a lot quicker since I could be working on something wherever in the world and then harvest it as needed because it probably would be growing. And I feel like pretty foolish for building up this whole water flushing system. I should have looked into the fortune method first, of course, but I guess it can still be used to collect some of the warts that I was not able to pick up with my inventory, because there actually is quite a lot per harvest and they don't always fit. So I guess that can be used like that for now, but I think I'm just gonna stick a pin in this farm for the time being and show you guys what the other thing I worked on off camera was. Okay, so climbing up the top of this ladder here, we are actually in the Nether, as you could probably tell. And what we've got going on here is a pathway filled with the ice, and you guys have probably seen something like this before, but what this does is if we go ahead and use a boat, this is an incredibly fast method of traveling through large distances. So this is about maybe like a 200 or 300 block path, and if we hop in the boat, holy, like look at this speed that we can build up here. And this is actually just packed ice. There is a faster method even using blue ice. However, we don't really have access to large portions of that quite yet, but if we were to build up an ice farm of some sort in the future, this would be even faster. And anyway, so I should probably show you guys where this actually leads to. So as it turns out, about 2,000-ish, maybe 3,000 blocks away from spawn, we have a mushroom island, and I decided to use this as the center for our shopping district. And yes, if any of you guys watch the Hermitcraft series, I did get the idea straight from that. I'm a big fan of the series and I watch it pretty often, and this is what they have been doing simply because of the fact that mobs can't spawn on mushroom islands. So that means that people can come over here, build up their shops, and go visit other shops in peace without worrying about like looking in a chest and getting blown up by a creeper, because no one wants that. So I think that I might begin building up one of my first shops here today. As you can see, no one has actually built anything yet. This was just set up yesterday, so it's a relatively new area. But the original plan for this episode after the Netherworld farm was to build up a large-scale industrial super smelter. I found a design by Iskall that I was able to build before in a past world. But in this one, upon looking at the resource count, I was able to gather up every single resource for it, except you need a large chunk of slime balls, or slime blocks I should say. So I do not have any sort of industrial slime farm yet. I have a very makeshift one, to say the least, and I can probably get those slime balls if I were to AFK overnight or something, but for now, I am way too low on them, and that idea is gonna be have to be put on hold for the time being. So I thought we might come in here and build up a Guardian loot shop, because that is something that I have been rolling in ever since I put up the farm. So I thought I'd sell people some prismarine, sea lanterns, prismarine bricks, and unfortunately, until I have a squid farm, I don't think I can sell large amounts of dark prismarine. But I was thinking I could also sell people a pass to use the Guardian farm freely, because there's a lot of people in the server who are in need of XP. So, what? Well, you know, I'll just leave him there. He looks to be enjoying himself. And, anyway, there are a lot of people who are in need of XP, and that farm can get you to level 30 in a couple of minutes. So it's really handy, especially for repairing tools, which it looks like I should do on my Elytra somewhat soon. But I'll catch you guys when I have the resources collected and I am back on the Mushroom Island. So here we are, back in the same exact spot, and this time I have the resources with me to build up the Guardian shop, or the Prismarine shop. It's not much, it's a pretty small build. It's not meant to be anything grand, but I was originally planning to build it there, but since it's such a simple design, I think I'll save that nice flat plot of land for maybe a better shop design in the future, and I think I'll go ahead and build it right there. And I think I'm gonna do this in the form of a quick time lapse, and don't get me wrong, it's a very simple build. It should not take too long, so it'll probably be a relatively fast time lapse, but I will go ahead and start that off, and I'll be back after it's built up. Okay guys, so here it is, the Guardian Loot Shop, or the Prismarine Shop, whatever you want to call it. I really got to think of a name for this thing eventually. But anyway, the last two things to do here are to put items in the items frames, which will be renamed to show the prices. And then also we gotta actually go over to the temple and get some loot to bring over here. So let's go ahead and do the renaming thing first. So I actually have one Prismarine here, and I think I'm gonna price this at 1 diamond for 2 stacks. Oops. Okay, perfect. And then that goes right in there. And then we will also be selling the bricks and the sea lanterns. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I cannot, of course, as I said, sell the dark Prismarine yet, because I just don't have the ink to make that. So hopefully we can get a squid farm going on somewhat soon, and then have that in abundance to put in the shop. But for now, it's just going to be selling the Prismarine bricks, and lastly, the sea lantern. And then I was also thinking that the top sea lantern in the middle might be a good place to replace a chest or a barrel in the future, and sell the membership there to use the, like a membership pass to use the Guardian farm. Because once again, I'm sure that would sell, because lots of people do need XP for enchanting, etc. But now is a good time to go over to the temple, and I think if I fill up a shulker box with 9 stacks of each of these, that should take a while to sell out, just because this area isn't overflowing with lots of people yet anyway. But if I know there are some people who are building with Prismarine bricks, so that should be a good supply to sell for now. And I will catch you guys when I'm back here with the resources. So we are now headed back to the Mushroom Island, to the shopping district, with a shulker box full of sea lanterns, Prismarine, and Prismarine bricks. And don't get me wrong, we still have a lot of leftover resources at the Guardian farm, but boy, do those crafting recipes take up a lot. Like, the Prismarine bricks and the sea lanterns actually fill up an entire crafting table just to create one. So I definitely need to maybe just put some more chests in that farm and do an overnight AFKing session. But this will definitely stock up the farm for now. So let's go ahead. Ooh, shoot. Let's go ahead and get this stocked up with 9 stacks each. And then I will go ahead and inform everyone on the server that this farm, or this shop I should say, is open. And hopefully we can have some good business. I know there are some people using these resources. And maybe I should actually put in a separate section for the cooked fish that comes out of the farm. Of course, I'm not sure where that would go, because I'm saving that spot for the dark Prismarine. But that could actually make some profit as well, because I'm not sure if everyone has a sustainable food source. But that's something to look into. But either way, I think that overall this episode was a pretty successful one, even though we didn't get to build the super smelter. Hopefully we can do that pretty soon, but we got the shop going, we got the netherwort farm going, we got a little bit of off-camera work done, and yeah, so we have a bunch of new resources from the netherwort. We hopefully will be bringing in some diamonds from the shop. And I guess also I got to mine up some mycelium from this island, which, I don't know, I have sort of an unconventional idea for a future project that a few of my friends seemed pretty into as well that might use the mycelium, but that would be pretty far in the future, and we have a lot of more projects to do until then. So I will go ahead and start thinking about those and future opportunities, and I will go ahead and catch you guys in the next episode.